Ever wonder what happened to Darth Vader's army of crimson-bladed Jedi-hunting Inquisitors? For years they were the Empire's worst nightmare come true, and yet by the time Luke rose as a Jedi, they were gone. Turns out they didn't just disappear, but erased by design. The Hunters became the hunted, and the dark side made sure no one remembered their names. By the time Luke's staring at twin suns in A New Hope, the Inquisitors have vanished completely. No red blades, no Jedi hunters, just an empire that's moved on. So, what actually happened to Vader's army of dark side hunters? The Empire changed. Palpatine stopped ruling through Force users and started ruling through fear. Not fear of Vader, but fear of the Death Star. The age of lightsabers was ending, and the age of planet-killing superweapons had begun. The Inquisitors were built for a different kind of war. One fought in the shadows, one target at a time. But when you can destroy a planet with the press of a button, that kind of precision just isn't necessary anymore. Tarkin said it best.
Fear will keep the local systems in line. Fear of this battle station.
Why maintain a squad of unstable, power-hungry assassins when you can terrify the entire galaxy with a single weapon? The Death Star changed everything. The Empire shifted from personal terror to impersonal destruction. Where Inquisitors once inspired fear through their presence, the Death Star inspired fear through its existence. The destruction of Alderaan proved it. One blast did more to crush rebellion than 1,000 Inquisitor missions ever could. After that, lightsaber-wielding enforcers felt almost quaint. Palpatine, being Palpatine, didn't officially end the program. He just stopped protecting them. The missions got more dangerous. The rivalries got bloodier. And nobody stepped in. One by one, they died. Not because they failed, but because the Empire no longer needed them. Each death looked like a mission gone wrong, but in reality, it was quiet execution through neglect. Most Imperial officers never noticed. One day, there were Force-wielding enforcers everywhere, and then there weren't. The Empire had traded mysticism for machinery, and never looked back. But to understand why they were erased, we need to see how they began. The Inquisitorius, also known as the Inquisitorius program, the Order of Inquisitors, or simply Inquisition, was an organization of Force-sensitive operatives under the Galactic Empire. These weren't just random dark side users the Empire picked up at the local cantina, no. These were former Jedis. And before you ask, the Inquisitors were not Sith. The Sith follow the rule of two. One master, one apprentice, always two, never more. Palpatine was the master, Vader was the apprentice, and that's it for the Sith Club. The Inquisitors, they were dark side adepts, Force-sensitive agents who served the Sith, but could never join their exclusive order. The Grand Inquisitor described the Inquisition as a new coven established to replace the Jedi Order, which he claimed had failed the Republic. The recruitment process, well, recruitment is a generous term. All known Inquisitors were originally Jedi or Padawans who were tortured and corrupted by the dark side following Order 66. Some joined willingly, like the Grand Inquisitor, who was disillusioned after the whole Ahsoka Barriss Offee temple bombing incident. Being chosen as candidates for induction into the Inquisitorius naturally meant that Inquisitors demonstrated a level of affinity for the dark side, and hence were prone to bouts of anger, rage, frustration, impulsiveness, and vanity. These weren't your friendly neighborhood Jedi anymore. They were broken, rebuilt, and pointed like weapons at their former brothers and sisters. Inquisitors were tasked with hunting down remaining Jedi throughout the galaxy following the destruction of the Jedi Order, as well as other political dissidents, and retrieving Force-sensitive children as part of Project Harvester. Think of them as the Empire's supernatural SWAT team. Nicknamed Red Blades, they operated with a level of autonomy that would make most Imperial officers jealous. They could commandeer resources, override local authorities, and generally make everyone's life miserable in their pursuit of Jedi survivors. But here's the kicker. They weren't just hunting adult Jedi. Project Harvester was all about snatching up Force-sensitive kids before they could become problems. Pretty dark stuff, even for the Empire. These children would either be turned into future Inquisitors, become Emperor's hands, or, well, let's not think too hard about the alternatives. The Inquisitors also served as Vader's personal quality control department. To break their Jedi training, Darth Vader treated them cruelly to strengthen their emotions and increase their aggressive tendencies. So, how was the Shadow Organization run? Unlike the Sith with their rule of two, the Inquisitors had a more corporate structure. At the top, you had the Grand Inquisitor, basically the middle manager from Hell, reporting directly to Vader. Below him, they used designations such as Second Sister, Fifth Brother, and Seventh Sister, stripping them of their humanity. No more Jedi names, no more identities, just numbers and gender titles. The Inquisitors are extremely competitive and often turn on each other to gain more power. Imagine your worst office politics, but everyone has lightsabers and anger management issues. The competition wasn't just about climbing the ladder, it was about survival. Weakness meant death, either from your targets, your colleagues, or Vader himself having a bad day. Alright, let's run through the roster of these delightful individuals. According to current canon, there are at least 15 Inquisitors in the Star Wars canon timeline, with some sources suggesting up to 16. Starting off with the Grand Inquisitor, the big boss himself. This Pau'an was once a Jedi temple guard on Coruscant, which explains why he knew all the Jedi's tricks. Voiced by Jason Isaacs in Rebels and played by Rupert Friend in live action, his disillusionment with the Jedi Order after the temple bombing made him a willing convert to the dark side. As a former temple guard, he had access to the Jedi archives and intimate knowledge of Jedi combat forms and tactics. He wielded a distinctive double-bladed spinning lightsaber and was known for his analytical approach to combat, able to identify an opponent's fighting style within seconds. First Brother Marok was one of the original Inquisitors, but survived long enough to serve Morgan Elsbeth, decades after the Empire's fall. By the time of the Ahsoka series, he appeared to be reanimated through Night Sister magic, still wielding his double-bladed Inquisitor lightsaber and wearing the iconic armor. He engaged Ahsoka in combat multiple times before finally being destroyed, dissipating into green magical smoke when slashed across the torso on Cetos. The second sister, Trilla Suduri, star of Jedi Fallen Order, and one of the most tragic Inquisitors. Siri Junda survived Order 66 and escaped, hiding in exile until Siri was tortured into revealing Trilla's location. That betrayal broke something fundamental in her, turning her into one of the most ruthless Inquisitors. She became obsessed with hunting down Cal Kestis and proving her worth to the Empire through her tactical brilliance and force abilities. The third sister, Reva. Moses Ingram brought this character to life in Obi-Wan Kenobi, a character created specifically for this limited series. Her story is particularly gut-wrenching. A youngling who survived Order 66 by playing dead among her murdered friends, only to join the very organization that destroyed her life. But Reva's entire career as an Inquisitor was actually a long con. A desperate attempt to get close enough to Vader for revenge against the man who had destroyed her world. The fourth sister, played by Raya Kielstedt, also appeared in Obi-Wan. She's immediately recognizable by her agile physique and facial tattoos. Interestingly, in the comics, a rebel commander once disguised herself as the fourth sister to infiltrate Fortress Vader. The fourth sister participated in the hunt for Obi-Wan and was known for her acrobatic combat style. The fifth brother, this hulking brute, appeared in both Rebels and Obi-Wan. Recent sources suggest the fifth brother was recruited into the Inquisitors during the Clone Wars, proving he got in on the ground floor of evil. He was known for his brute strength approach to combat, and often worked in partnership with the more tactical seventh sister. The sixth brother was notorious for being an overconfident bully, preying on the weak and defenseless. Yet he stood no chance against powerful opponents like Ahsoka Tano. During training, he even lost an arm at the hands of Darth Vader. Karma caught up with him when Ahsoka defeated him, taking his Kyber crystals to forge her iconic white lightsabers. She then used the Force to overload his lightsaber crystals, causing the weapon to explode and killing him instantly. The seventh sister was a Mirialan Inquisitor, voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar in Rebels. A serious pain for Ezra Bridger and the Ghost Crew, She was known for her cunning tactics, often deploying ID-9 seeker droids for reconnaissance and combat support. Her partnership with the fifth brother made them a deadly team until their final confrontation on Malachor. The eighth brother appeared in Rebels with some seriously cool armor, but met his end when his damaged lightsaber failed during a retreat. The eighth brother was a Terrellian Django jumper who was specifically tasked with hunting down Maul. His lightsaber could transform for limited flight capabilities, but this proved fatal when the weapon was damaged during combat on Malachor. The ninth sister, Masana Tide, was hard to miss. A massive Dewutin who could literally read emotions through the Force. She started as a Jedi Knight with a rare empathic gift, but after Order 66 things went dark fast. Vader took her eye during training, a brutal reminder of how the Empire forged loyalty through pain. Later on a mission, the sixth brother betrayed her, leaving her maimed and barely alive. She rebuilt herself with cybernetics and kept going, channeling her rage into the hunt for Cal Kestis, a chase that would define the rest of her life. The 10th brother, former Jedi Master Prosit Dibs, turned Inquisitor, dies in the Darth Vader comics during a mission gone wrong. Even Jedi Masters weren't immune to the dark side's corruption. This blind Miraluka had grown disillusioned with the Jedi Order's involvement in the Clone Wars and attacked Mace Windu before being placed under house arrest. His crisis of faith made him vulnerable to corruption after Order 66. The 11th brother, this unidentified former Jedi Knight, appeared in Tales of the Jedi, hunting Ahsoka Tano while she was in hiding. He attacked a farming village and slaughtered its inhabitants to lure Ahsoka out, showing the casual cruelty typical of Inquisitors. However, he was quickly outmatched and killed by Ahsoka, who defeated him with his own lightsaber while she was initially unarmed. Interestingly, after dying, the 11th brother's head deflated like a balloon, though we still don't have an explanation for that bizarre detail. The 13th sister, Iskat Akaris, was the star of the novel Inquisitor: Rise of the Red Blade. She joined willingly out of frustration with the Jedi Council, keeping her from frontline duty during the Clone Wars. This Pakurian Jedi Knight struggled with the Order's restrictions, and saw the Inquisitorius as an opportunity to use her aggressive combat style without limitations. Now here's a name you might have missed. Tualan Yaluna. His story is wild. He's a Twi'lek Inquisitor who shows up in the Darth Vader comics. We never actually learn his official number or title, but we do know he ran missions alongside other Inquisitors, most notably joining the hunt for former Jedi Master Eth Koth, alongside the 5th brother and 13th sister. After surviving Order 66, Tualan was captured and tortured by the Empire before being turned into one of its hunters. Like many of Vader's enforcers, his story ends the usual way, well, badly. His complicated bond with the 13th sister, Akaris, became central to his arc. That love-hate connection eventually resurfaced, driving him to defend her from Vader, and costing both of them their lives. Then there's Jercera from the Ghosts of Dathomir comic. She was an Inquisitor who secretly took on a Night Sister apprentice, thinking she could use her as a weapon against the other Inquisitors, but it totally backfired. The apprentice turned on her, killed her with her own lightsaber, and then straight up took her place, even keeping the name Jercera while working as a mercenary. Talk about a twisted legacy. We also have Barriss Offee, a former Jedi Padawan who briefly joined the Inquisitorius, as shown in Tales of the Empire. Barriss had already fallen from grace during the Clone Wars when she orchestrated the bombing of the Jedi Temple and framed her close friend Ahsoka Tano for the crime. After being arrested and imprisoned, she was approached by the 4th sister following the rise of the Empire and offered a chance to continue her fight against what she saw as the Jedi's failures. Initially accepting and undergoing brutal Inquisitor training, Barriss quickly became disillusioned with the Empire's needless cruelty against innocent civilians. During her first mission, she chose to save a targeted Jedi rather than execute them, openly defying her training and abandoning the Inquisitorius. She reclaimed her identity as a healer, using her Force powers to help those in need, though she was eventually tracked down and gravely injured by her former friend, the 4th sister. Finally, there's the unidentified Inquisitor, who pops up in Tales of the Underworld. He was sent to track down Padawan Lycostrata, but things didn't exactly go as planned. He ran straight into Asajj Ventress instead. Plus, we have mysterious mentions of others that keep the exact count fuzzy. There's also the mysterious 13th brother mentioned in recent sources, who has never been seen, and other Inquisitors whose fates remain unknown. So what happened to this deadly group of dark side enforcers? The Grand Inquisitor, defeated by Kanan Jarrus in Rebels Season 1, fell to his death rather than face Vader's punishment for failure. The second sister was killed by Vader after a moment of hesitation. The fifth brother and seventh sister met their end at the hands of Maul on Malachor. The sixth brother was defeated by Ahsoka Tano, who later used his kyber crystals for her white lightsabers. The eighth brother died due to equipment failure, and the ninth sister was killed by Cal Kestis. The 10th brother's death is detailed in the comics, and so the list goes, marking the end of the Inquisitors in the galaxy. While we definitely know the fate of 11 of the 15, or possibly 16 Inquisitors, it's believed all of them were dead by the Battle of Scarif in 0 BBY, the very same battle that kicks off Rogue One. But individual deaths don't explain why the entire organization disappeared. Here's the thing. The Inquisitors were victims of their own success. From approximately 10,000 Jedi before Order 66, less than 100 survived the initial purge. The Inquisitors and Vader hunted down many of these survivors during the Great Jedi Purge. By around 5 BBY, most Jedi survivors were either dead, in deep hiding like Obi-Wan and Yoda, or had abandoned the Force entirely. Think about it from Palpatine's perspective. The Inquisitorius was a specialized tool for a specific job. Once that job was mostly done, why keep them around? These were trained Force users with a history of betrayal, competitive natures, and serious psychological issues. Not exactly the most stable workforce. Plus, Palpatine always played the long game. The Inquisitors knew about Vader's Jedi past. They were living proof that Force users besides the Sith existed within the Empire. As Palpatine consolidated power and the threat of Jedi survivors diminished, the Inquisitors went from asset to liability. Even though the Inquisitors vanished from the galactic stage, their impact rippled through the Force for decades. Cal Kestis' journey in the Jedi games is shaped entirely by his encounters with them. Ahsoka's white lightsabers came from purified Inquisitor crystals. In many ways, the Inquisitors represent the Empire at its most insidious, taking what was good and twisting it into something monstrous. They weren't just killing Jedi, they were perverting the very legacy of the Force itself. Every Inquisitor was a walking reminder of what the Jedi had lost and what the Empire had gained. So, there you have it, folks. The rise and fall of the Inquisitorius in all its dark glory. They emerged from the ashes of Order 66, burned bright with the fury of the dark side, and then vanished like shadows when the dawn broke. In true Imperial fashion, they were used up and discarded once their purpose was served. So what do you think? Were the Inquisitors always doomed to disappear, or could they have survived in a different timeline? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into Star Wars lore. Remember, the Force will be with you always. Unless you're an Inquisitor, then you're probably doomed. May the Force be with you, and watch out for spinning red lightsabers.